Welcome to Appalachian Outdoors, your go-to spot for all things hunting, fishing, camping, and everything in between. I'm your host, Russ Cassidy, and along with co-host Devin Kidd, we'll be coming to you from the heart of the mountains where the woods are deep, the waters run clear, and adventure is just a trail away. Whether you're a seasoned outdoorsman or just starting to explore the wild, we've got tips, stories, and gear talk to help you make the most of every moment outside. So grab your boots, pack your tackle, and let's head into the wild together. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Appalachian Outdoors, the podcast of Appalachian newspapers, in which we try to talk all things outdoors, tips, tricks, and just stories of the outdoors. Appreciate you joining us. I have my co-host, Devin Kidd, who's the Appalachian newspapers jack of all trades.
How about that?
Reporter, photographer, outdoor columnist. I think the outdoor columnist is probably his favorite part of it. But Devin, have you been out on the water any, even in the heat?
Yes, night fishing. Took one night trip with my dad on his birthday.
Nice.
We caught 4 or 5 apiece, and he caught a couple keepers actually on Dewey Lake, which is where we always fished together growing up. You know, when I was growing up, he always took us, and that's where we had a boat. We fished off the bank, but it's a good time. Caught a few keepers, smallmouths, and some white. I caught a prettiest white bass I've ever seen.
Wow, and I'm sure it wasn't just about the fish.
Absolutely, especially not that day. You know,
Right.
that night.
Right. Well, I actually got out on the water finally, despite the heat. But my son actually moved into his dorm at college. So the weekend before, he said he was able to go fishing before he went to work that afternoon. So we got up at like 5 a.m. and actually went out to Paintsville to hit the tailwaters out there to try for some trout. Found out they'd stocked a few days before. Tried our luck out there, couldn't really get anything. Got a few bites.
At least she's in the ball game.
That's it.
Well, throughout time.
But we went to Dewey's tailwaters too. After we left there, we went to Dewey, and it started out pretty slow, but he started lighting it up. He caught a catfish. He caught a smallmouth. He caught a lot of bluegill. I forget how biologically diverse that waterway is. It really.
I've caught anything and everything out there. And that's one of the big reasons I've always loved it as well.
Yeah.
Because as much as, you know, bass is a trophy, if it's fish, I'm tickled death to catch it, you know.
Absolutely. Well, and those tailwaters it's really a pretty area. It's kind of difficult to get to all the fishing holes. Like you have to do some rock climbing to get down there, but we were really pleased. And I remember, you know, it's just a reminder around here, we've just got the most beautiful fisheries. We just have to take it.
Overlooked.
Totally. I've seen some electro-shocking results that the Eastern Fisheries District has done out there, and there's, 40-inch muskie in that water. Not necessarily in the tailwaters, but in the lake, and there's just massive white bass. It's just a completely overlooked. Well, and like the trip with your dad, the most important thing for getting out that Sunday morning, even though it was early, and it was a little bit of a drive for us, was just, he's been my fishing partner for the last 5 years, like ride or die, thick and thin. My dad's going off to college, and, it's that next level of adulthood. So I don't know how many more of those we're going to have.
I never will forget you told me about the story about him coming down the stairs one day when you was sitting there and he's like, let's go. And you said, this might be the last time we get to go.
You never know.
And you told me, because I've got a 5 and a 3-year-old, he was like, don't let that opportunity pass. Ever.
No, absolutely not. And we use, the part of the reason he became such a big part of, or fishing became such a big part of our lives, was back during the COVID shutdowns. I didn't want him, I don't care for him to play Xbox.
Right.
I play too, it's fine. But I didn't want it to be the entirety of his existence. He played football, so, they never shut that down. So that was good. But he also, we got out and we fished, and we went basically all over Appalachia, finding places to fish.
And if I ain't mistaken, that trip was what really turned you on to the Red River Gorge area.
Yeah, it was. That was one of those trips that we went on, looking for a place where we could socially distance, quote unquote.
Right. Oh, there's plenty of areas to do it there.
Well, it's harder now as it gets more populated tourists. Back then, though, definitely you could social distance and get Miguel's Pizza at the same time. But that's another story for another day. So, yeah, I introduced you. I introduced him to Miguel's Pizza. So that's
Fresh Hill Lake.
there you go. This time of year, it's good for fishing when you can get out and you can get in the water. But there's also some stuff that the deer hunters need to be doing this time of year. What's that?
I would argue that even though there is no season actually, and this is one of the most critical times of the year to be on your toes, so to say, as a deer hunter, because that early season, September the 7th, it is opening weekend of archery season.
Wow.
So I mean, it's
Good
close.
deers.
Close. And if you have a deer in particular, and even if you don't, that is the best time to pattern deer. If you're going to get if you got a deer you are targeting, that is the best time to get on them. They're more patterned, but you can pattern them a lot better that time of the year. You notice the past couple of weeks in particular, I've been out driving. I've seen, last night I saw 8, and one of them was a good buck. I may have topped that landowner. I don't own, but the shrubbery, the greenery, all that beside the road, they're coming down out of the timber.
Yeah.
And, you have the places in the timber where the sun breaks through and is able to get to the ground, and you get some of that. But a lot of people don't know, and I didn't for a long time, but they're actually, you always hear people talk about acorns or putting in food plots, that sort of thing. They're actually mostly a browse animal.
Yeah.
I mean, they eat more this time of year, especially the twigs, or it got greenbrier stuff, honeysuckle, anything like that.
Yeah.
And another thing, it's been so hot, and a lot of time what's overlooked is a lot of that greenery. That's where actually they get most of their moisture supply too. I didn't know that, where that greenery holds water.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying don't hunt the ponds, don't hunt the creeks. If you've got that, absolutely, because they're going to be there. But they can actually get the majority of their water supply and sustain off greenery.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, September 7th comes around, and even right now, hanging cameras, if you're walking through the timber and it just looks like your average leaves and trees here and there, then you get to that spot where it kind of opens up and that sun's coming in, and you see some of that. I mean, it just looks like a big green patch in the middle of the timber. That's where you need your cameras.
Wow. Well, and I know it's not deer, it's elk, but I've seen the effects of that several years ago. We had a big problem here in Pikeville. The elk were seeking greenery,
right,
and it was during kind of a droughty period, but there was a real nice green patch, as you come into on US 23 right there, across from Walmart, right there by the river. It stays green, and the elk were coming down and coming across US 23 to get to that patch, and we had to get real serious about making sure people knew that they were crossing.
and obviously, other than the mountaintops,
yeah,
where no doubt sun will break through there. Other than the mountaintops, where you're going to find most of that greenery, it's down beside these interstates or at lower levels where there's the timber, where there's no timber. And that, again, that's not to say I have seen little green patches in the middle of it, go a mile into timber and there's a green patch. That's the key. If you can find somewhere that is secluded, yet is open enough to where you can get that mixture of plants and forage and that. Mm-hmm. That's where you're going to find your deer right now.
Yeah.
And close to bedding, in the proximity of their bedding.
Right.
Early September, I mean, good time. There's a good chance you'll get a deer or deers on camera early September. October, November rolls around, the rut kicks in, gone. That's the best time to strike if you're able to do it.
Wow. And I mean, this goes without saying for most people, but it would be good at this point to also remind everybody that now's the time to start to get your licensure lined out, make sure you've got all the proper permits, and make sure you've got the permission from the landowner, or you've got the different things you need to be able to hunt on public lands, that you're ready to go for all that, because it's vital. We have to have that.
A knock on the door will go a long way in getting that permission. I've done it more than once, and year to year they may talk to so many people through the year they forget the face. You walk in, hey, you remember me from last year? I hunted, so and so, and they say, yeah, come back this year. That's needed because you just assume, hey, everything's okay. Then next thing you know, the game ward's walking up on you, and that's a different story. I've not had that happen, but not yet.
Well, and that brings up a good point too. If you are planning on asking for somebody's permission to hunt on their lands, or even if you're planning on hunting public lands, prepare to leave it the way you found it.
Absolutely.
I mean, don't be that guy that goes out there and trashes it for everybody else. When a landowner gives somebody permission to hunt their land, especially somebody who might be a stranger, like if you walk up to them, you're padding and setting the tone for the future. Don't be that guy. Don't be the guy that ruins it for everybody and forever makes that landowner wary of letting someone else get on that land just because you trash it or you treat it as your own. Be respectful. These resources belong to all of us. The private resources belong to the owner, but it's important that we.
It's my biggest pet peeve. I mean, most people you take that hunt or fish are great people. Just seems like just the DNA. I don't know. They're just in a league of their own as far as being a good person. The one fault is that the trashing. I mean, you go to any of the lakes and state parks and you see that. I've got no respect for that.
Well, and that's good, and as a fisherman, one of the things that kills me is leftover line. I find it all the time, and I would love to see if anybody out there has a way to start an effort to take care of that or get some disposal stations besides the garbage cans for some of that. I would love to get something like that underway.
That's a very good idea.
Around here, because I think it's one of the biggest problems, one of the biggest things we leave behind. I mean, I'm not talking about if you have to break off or you cut off or whatever. I'm talking about people that bird's nest their bait caster and just strip it and leave it there and reline. That causes all kinds of problems, not just an eyesore, but it's dangerous to wildlife. It causes all kinds of problems. I'd love to see some kind
and
of.
And it happens far more than what people think.
It's really bad. I know anytime I end up picking up trash, which I do upon occasion, if I've got a bag and it's bad enough, I will go and pick it up, and a lot of what I pick up is the spent line. So just a reminder, not to harsh anybody's mellow or bring down the party, but that's we have a responsibility, and we're outdoors because it's beautiful. God's given us some of the greatest scenery in the world right here.
It's a gift.
So we don't want to see it destroyed. So.
Absolutely.
Well, Devin, I guess, before we close out, what are the final words you would have for those people getting ready to go after that big buck or get that doe to fill the freezer this fall?
Well, definitely be shooting, because you're in your health. It's equipment. It's man-made. Think might need tweaked. Visit your local archery shops. Get that took care of. Again, we talked about it last time. Check those stands if you've left them near here. Those, I've seen it on more than one occasion. Those straps start deteriorating over time. You don't want your next trip in the woods to be the last one.
Yeah.
You enjoy it, so let's keep at it for years. Other than that, just get out and get at it, because, like I said, make preparations now so you can get that deer next month.
Right. Proper planning prevents poor performance.
And you're not, it's not December, January, and you're worried about eating tag soup.
Tag soup. That's good. Well, guys, we thank you again for joining us. If you've got other tips, tricks, or anything that you'd like to throw out there, comment below, send us a message, at our page here. We'd love to hear your stories. We'd love to hear your comments. So, make this your podcast as much as it is ours. But again, I'm Russ Cassidy, joined by Devin Kidd. And once again, this is Appalachian Outdoors, and we hope you join us next time.
Thank you all.